So I just thought I would do a very quick video to show you how we achieve some fancy looking fly-throughs like what we have here. If I click this one, we have the sequencer here, which I'm gonna drag this off screen a second just so that we can see what we have. It would help if I looked through the camera. When we press play, you can see that we have this. It would also help if I was capturing the entire screen, wouldn't it? That would help a lot more. There we go, right. So you should be able to see everything now. Yeah, so, yeah, this is what we have. Lovely. Great. Dock this down here. Do this like this. Window. Content browser. Dock content browser next to it. Oh, we love to see it. Okay, cool. So, how do we achieve this? How do we get these really cool looking renders? And then how do we put them all into one giant scene in which we can press this button and we press play and it will switch the cameras to what we want them to be. How do we do that? It's pretty easy. So, first things first, I'm going to open up a new folder and pretend that we don't have any of those there. We haven't got sequencer open. So, what we're going to do, before we even think about putting our cameras into a scene and capturing some stuff, we are going to pick some really nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Camera shots, basically. So they look kind of funky in this. It's because I've got a widescreen monitor, they're going to look a bit weird. Does F11 work? Yeah. So F11 is to maximize your screen. And what you want to do is fly through your scene a little faster than what I'm doing and pick some nice dynamic sort of shots that we could do. So potentially something like this. Maybe not so much like that. Yeah, it's a bit dark, but you get the idea. So pick like some camera angles, like this is a really nice one, this is a decent one, this is cool, this is cool. And then what you want to do is on the what's it called? Keyboard. Press Control and a corresponding number. So Control 1, and then move your camera slightly, press Control 2, and then you can press the numbers and it will snap between camera shots. I don't know a better way of trying to explain that than I just did. So yeah, but that's how you do snapping between them. If you find that it's not working, make sure that you are clicked into the viewport and make sure that you're not viewing it through a camera if you've got your sequencer open, because it won't work then. So to start looking at that, so I'm going to set, we're going to pick, I don't know, I'm going to do this one. This is probably my favourite shot of the entire thing. So I'm going to right click in the content browser or your content drawer. I like to have a content browser so it's always docked here at the bottom. And we're going to go animation and level sequence. And we're going to call this, you can call it, I've called it fly through 01, so I'll just call it fly through 1. Because if you're going to do a few of them, it's good to have a naming convention. So, when we open this, you will be given something that looks like this, which is quite daunting to look at, but it's not that bad, really. I dock it down here, and then what I like to do is ensure that my camera, my viewport up here, is where I want it to be. And then we can press this button, which is create a new camera, and set it as the current camera cut. Okay. By default, this camera has quite a big focal length. I like to set it to 14. Is it the focal length? Yes, focal length is 14. So yeah, the higher that number, like the more zoomed in it is, and the further away, it's just, yeah, it's weird. So 14 tends to look the best, and is more similar to the default camera that you have. So basically what we're having here, we have a camera cut, or camera cut track. And this is basically what we need in order to capture video. If this is missing, you'll still have a camera cut here. If that's missing, it just won't render anything. So to bring that back, we just press camera and then this one. And that fills the entire space, and it will fill it based on where this little thing is, which is your play start thing. So make sure it's always at the start. So this is your camera. It's called a Cine Camera Actor. And we have a couple of different components. We're not going to worry about anything other than focal length, which is 14, just so that it looks better than the default. And first things first, with our camera in the correct place, we're going to press this, making sure we're at the start on 0. We can do that by making sure this is 0 here. You can do it by making sure that this little orange thing is on 0. And yeah, make sure it's there. You could also, if that is somewhere, you can just press this button. There. And then what we're going to do is just press this here, which is a keyframe to the transform. If you want to know what the transform is, you can undock it, and it just sets the location, the rotation, and the scale. Scale would not do anything to this camera, rotation would, and location would, but we're going to control that inside the viewport, so we can just do a blanket keyframe for each of them. Again, if you wanted to just move the location separately, you could, but like I say, we'll just do it this way. And yeah, so basically the green thing here is the start of your scene or your cut or whatever you want to call it, and the red bar is the end. So currently we are working to 150 frames, which isn't a lot. So I'm going to set this to 500. Press enter. And then you can either drag this to the 500, or you can press this button here, which will set it to the end. And what we want to do is take our camera from the position that it's currently in, here, and then we're going to drag this further out. And we're going to move our camera in the viewport. Like that. And I'm just going to press another keyframe. And then make sure that you like the movement, because we'll slow it down and everything in a moment. What I'm going to do is then, once I'm happy with the movement, I'm going to drag that keyframe to the end, so that we've got start, finish, and the camera is constantly moving. And what I like to do as well is click both of the keyframes. You can click drag like this if you want to. Right click and set them to linear. The hard thing to sort of describe is what this does. Sometimes when it's set to cubic, the camera can speed up and slow down. But when it's linear, it is more of a consistent sort of speed. You'd think constant would do that, but I find linear just works better. Don't ask me why, it just does. So what we're going to do then, oh, if you're finding that your camera or your viewport isn't moving, or when you press play nothing's happening, make sure that you've clicked to view through your camera. If you're not viewing through your camera, then you're not going to see anything. So make sure that's blue. And then we can just press play, and it's going to play the entirety of the movement of that camera that we've got in there, which might be a bit slow, but we can always speed things up and slow them down in a video editing software if we want to. I'm not going to worry too much about it, just for demonstration purposes. So I'm quite happy with that. It's going to autosave. Lovely. I'm going to save it. Once we save it, it goes from being looking like that to actually having a little picture of, you know, whatever your camera's set at when you press save, which is quite nice. So once we've done that one and we're happy with it, I'm gonna make a new level sequence, and we'll just call it Fly Through 2. And we'll open this up and repeat the process. So I think this one. And we will create a camera based on where we are. Our focal length I'm going to set to 15, 17 I think is a nice one as well. That seems quite nice. And I'm going to press keyframe at the start. I'm going to give myself more frames to work with, and then set the end of that here. What we'll need to do is drag this. This will need to fill the entirety of that. Just press save a sec and double check. Didn't do that with this one, so that just means that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's best to just make sure that this fills the entire track. Yeah. Save. That's going to look like the wrong one now, but yeah, it's fine. We can go back to that. So now that that is full, we have our camera. So no matter what we do with our camera, make sure you move it from that place and make sure you're viewing through it. So no matter what we do, if I move my camera here and I don't like what it is, if I move this, it's going to reset us to the last saved keyframe, which is quite nice. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to do like a really slow pan in to here, and I'll add another keyframe. So we're going to check our movement. Go A to B, A to B. Happy with the movement. Drag that keyframe to the end. Select the two keyframes, set them to linear. Go back to the beginning, press play. Yep, I'm happy with that. I can see this is going good. Cool. So, happy, happy, happy. Make sure we're good. Back to the beginning. Save it. Come back into this one. View through that. Press save. Just because I want the pictures to be different so I can differentiate them. So what we can do at this point, if we're happy, we can render them off as individual videos. So to do that, we come into the sequencer. Press this button here, which says render this movie to a video or image frame sequence. So click that. Save it out as a video. You don't want it as JPEGs or PNGs. Just save it as a video. There's no audio in this, don't worry about that. I'm not going to worry about custom frame rate. The frame rate by here says 30 FPS. You just need to make sure that this matches whatever you have here. If not, you're going to get some jittery, weird stuff happening. But yeah, make sure your resolution is set to something nice, like this. I'm going to leave the rest of this as is. Your output directory, so where is it going to save? I have made a folder specifically for renders, so we'll select that folder. And then file name format. What am I going to call it? So we can do squiggly bracket, sequence, close squiggly bracket, open squiggly bracket, frame. This might not work, but you know, we'll give it a go. Close squiggly bracket. Give it a go. And the rest we're literally going to leave it as it is. We don't want to worry about that. Cinematic mode. What does that say? Scalability. We're going to leave them as is for now. I think if we took cinematic off, it'd remove the bars on the side. I'm not sure, and I have not messed with it, so I'm not going to mess with it now. And we're just going to press capture movie. My PC might crash, so fingers crossed this works. We have to save. Make sure you save everything. And fingers crossed. Sometimes you will only be able to see a corner of whatever it is that you're rendering. That's fine. Don't stress about it. You will capture the entire video. I don't know why it does it. Sometimes you'll see the whole thing. Yeah, I have no idea. So this is going to take a while. But just to show you what we're getting, don't want that. We want folder. Oh, did it finish? Okay, cool. So basically what it did when it renamed it was it used the sequence. It didn't understand what I meant by frame number. That's fine. It's got the same name as what we called the sequence, basically. So fly through one. And if we double click and watch it, we have a decent fly through, which is pretty good. Happy with that. So that's how you render off individual ones. What we can do now is right click, create a new level sequence again, but this one we're going to call master. And we're going to open this up. We're not going to create a new camera that way. We're going to set this to... So I know each of these are 500 frames. So in total that's 1,000 frames, right? So I'm going to set this to 1,000. And I'm going to put that at the end. And then coming back to the content browser, I'm going to select these two. And if we drag and hold over the sequencer, we can drop them in. What that is going to give us is... I messed that up. That's fine, I can redo it. We have a shot track, but because we've got more than one thing, it's not going to have anything at the top. We've got another shot tracks here. We're going to drag them in. They should show up at the start. I don't know why that just happened. That was weird. It should look like this when you drag them in, basically. What we're going to do is take whichever one you want to be first. So let's have a look. Do we want this one to be first? Or do we want the other one to be first? I think let's do it this way. Put this one first. Drag this one after it. Go to the front. Make sure you're viewing through the camera. Press play. And it will play all of the sequence shots one after each other. So once we get to the end of this one, it should snap straight away to this one. There we go. And you do exactly the same thing. You just hit render. I'm gonna press stop. Is there no stop? There. I'm gonna change this to the actual thing that we want it to be. So final underscore render underscore 01. Always number them because, you know, even if it's final, you might have a few versions of final, if that makes any sense. I'm going to bump up this to that. I want to see what happens if we do that. Save everything, hit render. Now this is going to take a million years because it's rendering twice as much as before. So potentially we're going to be here a while. But if you can see now that we've named it Final Render 01, and you can see the Final Render 01 is in here. It's currently no size to it. It's just holding that name ready for you. I don't know what all these are. It gave me those before, and I don't know why. It's fine. But yeah, I kind of want to show you the final render of this thing when it works. Eventually. In fact, while that's going through, here's one we made earlier. Oh, bless me. So you can see this is going to snap straight into another one momentarily. You're going to pick some appropriate music to go over the top of it if you want music on it. Might be nice to just have some like ambient music or something, I don't know. But yeah, you can see it just snaps through all of them. It'd be nice to have some like transitions in there if you can use Premiere or whatever, but yeah, I mean, wouldn't stress too much over it. Good. Cool, so yeah, that is the idea of it. This thing is still rendering, so I'm not going to wait too much, but that is how you do it. I appreciate that was kind of a quick explanation, and if I didn't explain anything clear enough, please let me know and I can revisit it and go over it again. I'm not adverse to that, so yeah, but let me know if that was useful. Peace.